Hello and welcome back to my channel, and thanks for rejoining me with my solo BX Dungeons & Dragons campaign. We'd left the characters in the Golden Griffin. They had been quite transfixed by the stories emanating from Old Hemlock and Loremaster Erithiel. This had been to do with the Barony, its geography, its history, its lore, and its recent events. We had effectively run out of time. I was just about to wrap up the process, but unfortunately the YouTube shutters came down on my time, which is, I suppose, quite an arbitrary thing, but I think I'd already clocked over an hour, so I thought, no, I'm not going to keep going. This episode, I've entitled it This Episode and Beyond, and I am saying that the focus for this campaign is now on getting the adventuring actually started. And I did reflect on this. I was looking back at the BX trajectory, and we haven't really started any adventuring yet. A lot of my other campaigns are well into the adventuring mode, and I must feel, I suppose, that I am perpetuating some massive extended session zero. It is quite a session zero. If you got invited to that, it'd be probably quite good fun. All the things that you would do in it, and your character creation, and a bit of interactive adventuring, finding out things. I suppose, maybe I'm beating myself up a bit. Part of the process was actually to try and find out about the world, about the town of Freehold, and I was using it as interactive sessions, and we've had quite a bit of fun with the recruitment and trying to find people and just getting around the town, and also in the Golden Griffin itself, and it has paid dividends. We've got lots of little sub-threads going on. So I'm saying, enough of this dalliance. We are going to bash on with the adventuring now. I do have an updated map, because this is what we were crafting. We were crafting away. This is the Barony. Each hex is 20 miles. We had, through my Barony Design interactive methodology, come up with this overall area. The Barony is in the borders, in the red borders. It covers, that is 7 hexes. It has Freehold, which is where we're based. We are going to Blackthorne Marsh, which is on the borders here, and there is the keep that we are ultimately going to go to. So that classifies as our local dungeon. What else to say? There are these jagged mountain peaks down here, full of dwarves and all sorts of other manner of strange and horrible things. Also, we have the elves under their king to the north in their enchanted forest. We have a rather debatable area, these barrens, and a particularly nasty bit called the Blasted Waste off to the east. Quite a number of concentrations of what I would call hostiles, which are orcs and hobgoblins, evil men, goblins, all kind of maybe causing us a bit of mischief. Let us find out what their story is going to be. So that is basically the end product from our prior design sessions. I was very pleased with the output, and looking back over the videos, I really was quite pleased with the way the process fell. A few tweaks I would do with hindsight, but I think overall it delivered what I wanted, which were some basically high-level criteria, which I think I've managed to embed in this map. Okay, the constructed timeline that we generated, we had this timeline, you will recall. This is the hard version that we jotted down, and we had some major, minor, dominant and minor features of the timeline, and we would do it up to 12 years ago, and we just did that randomly, and I got this time differentiation. Now, I've put it down in a kind of neat format, and I thought, well, maybe have some questions that we still had to resolve from that. So that's what I'm going to do just now. I'm going to maybe clarify some of those timeline items. So I will get my behind sheet. Yeah, sorry, I just had to pause the camera. I've got to get one of my sheets that I use just to put underneath my notes, just so that I don't inscribe things onto my back sheet. We sport the nice red one for the BX one. We had these events, recent events in the Barony. Now, the first one that we're going to do was the Freehold, our town that we've started in. That was besieged by enemies, and it was recently attacked. So this was 8 years ago. What we're going to do is determine the attackers and the outcome of the hostilities. Now, it's not going to be a major attack. It didn't wipe the city out. It was a major siege and maybe smashed all the walls down or something, or they were looted and pillaged. But it was of significance. It's in the muscle memory of the town. Maybe we could see some of the effects, some of the scars of it. But it would be interesting to find out who attacked Freehold. And in Brian's channel style, I have come up with 3 different options that we can maybe contemplate. And at the end of it, what we're going to do is we are going to roll randomly. And the other good thing is, I thought, well, when reading through it, it kind of generated a wee bit of lore, and we can maybe use some of even if we don't discard 2 of them, we can still maybe use some of the lore of that I have generated as part of the overall campaign, because I thought that looks interesting. I quite fancy having that in the actual campaign itself. So, number 1 on our hit list, the Dragon of the Mountain. So we've got this not too far away from Freehold. We have the Dragon Mountain. Surely it has a dragon. Well, it has. Yes, I have answered that question. The Dragon of the Mountain decided to pay Freehold a visit and dissuade its resupply and trade with the dwarves of the mountains. So these dwarves are all living here. And I think their capital is, they have a capital, yes, here. So we're probably resupplying some of their settlements here, trading with them, doing all sorts of good stuff. There are some dwarves that live in Freehold too, so maybe there are some kin relationships going on. So it basically, when I say dissuade, it was probably going to do a few laps round and give it a bit of fire out of its mouth and that type of thing. It was repelled, actually using the magic of the Baron's wizard, Zorimus Flameborn, well named, who just happened to be visiting his friend, the resident wizard Ishara Moonvale. So he just so happened he was there at the time, saw this dragon coming, thinking, right, this is right up my street. Flameborn, I'm pretty good with fire pyrotechnic magic. And luckily he was there that day and he managed to vanquish the dragon. So the dragon maybe wasn't feeling too clever after that. And we haven't seen him again. So it wasn't quite the Lake Town debacle where it basically destroyed the place. This time the dragon was tamed, but maybe to return at some stage. It's probably had its pride dented. The next option are the trolls from the Great Chasm. Now, the Great Chasm is this area here. To be defined exactly what this Great Chasm is, but it's probably likely to be similar to a great big rift or something, a gorge. These had been enraged by adventurers from Freehold who had slain one of their kin and raided a troll nest. They decided to attack Freehold under their leader, Gorvak, the Chasm Lord, they were repulsed at a significant cost in treasure and soldiers. So this, out of all the outcomes, is probably the most significant and in cost freehold the most. So we're saying that in this one that they managed to get away with it. Maybe a few houses set on fire, but Zorimus luckily managed to repel the dragon. But in this case, the trolls probably did manage to smash some of the outer walls down, or managed to get across, and maybe smashed up a few some of the buildings inside. We lost a few men in the process. So that is option 2. What about option 3? The attackers were a roving Gnoll warband under Ashrak Helfang, sweeping across the barony, which was stopped while attacking Freehold, with the aid of the Baron's champion, Dargan Ashblade. So it looks as though the Baron's champion was out maybe in pursuit of this warband. It's settled on Freehold. Thought, right, this is somewhere we can take opportunely. Gnolls aren't really the brightest monsters in the pack. They probably thought, yeah, this is going to be easy. But pride came before a fall, because Ashrak was slain and the warband smashed and scattered at that point. So maybe it's a few tales are being told of that Gnoll, Ashrak Helfang, and his scattered, disbanded and destroyed warband. So we do have 3 options. We are going to get the dice. We're going to roll the D3. Let's find out what is the backstory to that situation. So it is going to be the Gnolls. Yeah, it's Ashrak Helfang sweeping across the barony. And we do have in play the Baron's champion, Dargan Ashblade, who's probably still alive, because this was 8 years ago. So there's a good chance he's still the champion. Yes, maybe that is one of the ballads is being sung of in the Golden Griffin this evening. So, but we're going to keep the dragon in our thing. We're going to keep Zorimus Flameborn. We're going to keep. We know that we've got a resident wizard, Ashara Moonveil. Yeah, that's quite interesting. What is her speciality? And we have trolls in the Great Chasm. This Gorvak, the Chasm Lord. He sounds very intimidating. Will this will involve us in adventures in the future? So I just need to make a little tick here, and that is that done. So what else have we got? We've got the corruption and corrupt officials in Freehold, and this is a major item. So I'm not going to work on that just now. I'm just going to keep that in our databanks and say, yeah, is this linked into the sheriff? Is this linked into some of the things that we've been observing at the keep in Freehold, where we saw some strange movements of goods out of the keep? What is going on? There seems to be a malaise over the town. Some of the guards are either lazy or they are acting a bit strange. Is something going on, some form of corruption? It does sound as though there is something afoot in Freehold. The next one is monster incursions, defensive frontier. What we're going to do in the next section is activate some power block factions and randomly determine conflict flashpoints. So we will recycle back to that. We knew that there was a weak ruler in the West Kingdom and manipulation by the Kingmaker, but we are reckoning that the West Kingdom doesn't really have too much influence on us just now. If it had been maybe a Kingmaker that was aggressive to us, that might have caused us trouble, but I think we determined that that was not the case. So we're not going to say that that is major. It's also classified as a minor, so it's just a fact that we know that we have a weak ruler who's being manipulated by the Kingmaker in the West Kingdom. The next one is raids and brigandage, a growing menace. We determined that this was coordinated, and I am saying it's to be determined later in the campaign about the coordination. There are suspicions, however, around the bastion of the evil men, Now the evil men are here in these Badlands. They have a bastion of 2,000 individuals, and these are kind of the scurrilous types that malingerers and whatever that have managed to congregate in this this bastion, and I've called that Shadow Crag. And there appears to have been a arrival of a powerful individual there. So again, that's for me to develop. That's something for another day. So there are a few plot points for me to take forward, but the main point was I wanted to determine what happened to Freehold 8 years ago. We now know that it was a no warband, but there are another few monsters in play, so that's quite good. Good, right, so that's that done. What are we going to move on to next? We are going to do conflict resolution with some potential flashpoints. So, in my notes, we have some, this is definition of some of the region's hostile power blocks, and this is kind of what we got, where we got to at the end of last session. And we'd had the Loremaster Erithiel say, our frontier lands are always prey to incursions from the forces of darkness, which gather beyond our reach. The clash of sword and shield is a sound oft heard across the Westmark. So wherever there are concentrations of hostiles in a region, there is a chance we have a power block which can challenge the incumbent or neighbouring barony. So if a region has 2 or more tribal groupings of any hostile races, we have a potential power block or faction. They will seek to attack the incumbent, but if the barony shares any adjacent hex to a faction member, there is a chance they attack the Westmark instead, 50%. The chance of conflict is calculated for each block as 30% plus 10% per tribe. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to determine who are all our factions first. And we did make a note that we had some Northmen up here, and they classify as a faction. So we've got 1 Northman, and I think they have a power, because that's what we're going to base our stuff on, a power of 3. And we'll just put a note here, power 3. So what's our second faction? We also noted that we had, in these areas here, where we created some more barren hexes and some scrubland, that we had some nomads stroke dervishes. And they had a power of around about 3, and they had a 20% chance of proving to be hostile in our recent timeline. So we can determine that immediately. Okay, so that's the 2 that were being generated by the terrain. Now the ones that we generated through generating our hostiles, and these were things like orc tribes and goblins and hobgoblins, etc. We can now see exactly how many of those exist. Now we have got some goblins, I think. Goblins here, some evil men. Yeah, I've just got my original one back, and I just noticed that I might have missed out one of my goblins. So this is my updated copy, and I've actually got a photocopy I took. I'm going to use just so I can scribble on it. So we do have some goblins here. Right, so that's because in total we had 2 orcs, 3 goblins, 1 evil men, 1 hobgoblins, and 1 kobolds. So I've got them placed. I've got the kobolds, and in fact what I'm going to do is I'm just going to revert back to this one, because this has got all my stuff in it. I just haven't obviously updated all. So we've got some kobolds here, and there's only 1 faction, so we don't have enough for an attack. We've got in this region, we've got 1 goblin. We don't really have enough for an attack against the dwarves. However, I suppose there is the possibility that maybe these two goblin tribes would form a little faction and maybe try it on with the dwarves. Shall we see that? Shall we maybe say maybe 20%? So let's do that. We will do the goblins of the mountain. We'll say there's a 20% chance they take on the dwarves as a little group. So who else have we got? So we've got these orcs in the plain. We've got they're up by themselves. We've got the barons, and we've got goblins. We've got orcs, hobgoblins, evil men, and goblins. So we've got quite a lot there. They sound as though they are going to coalesce into something. Now, we don't have a conspiracy because what would happen is if we just go back to my timeline, this stated that monster incursions, we would activate some power block factions and randomly determine conflict flashpoints. So I'm saying that this would be an incursion of a group of monsters. So I think the only ones that would probably coalesce together would be under the influence of the evil men. They might be able to get the goblins to form into one group, and potentially get some of these others, probably the hobgoblins and the orcs. So let's see whether we can actually build up a faction from that. So I will say that evil men, and this will be our potentially our incursion. So what I want to do first is maybe just take this out of the equation, the monster incursions, defense of frontiers, and say, is it going to be either one of these, or are we going to be talking about this mobilization? So let's do a 1 to 4. We'll get a D4 for this and find out which one we're talking about for that. It is 1, so it is actually the Northmen. So what we can do is we can actually play that one out just now. And what the Northmen are going to do under this scenario is that, I've got too many maps. The Northmen here are going to probably attack or raid into the barony's territory. So what we're going to do is actually determine what is the level of attack. And according to this, the chance of conflict is calculated for each block as 30% plus 10% per tribe. So 40% chance they will do an attack. So let's find out first whether they actually decide to attack. And I will get my percentage dice ready. So let's find out whether the Northmen actually attack the barony. They do. They have an attack. And then once we've done that, what we do is we do the level of incursion. And I have this scale here, 1 to 10. So let's find out what level they have decided to do. So 4, raiding and harassment. So that sounds quite realistic. So we've got raiding and harassment against one of the regions in the barony by these Northmen. For the records in the timeline, this occurred 1d6 minus 1 years in the past. So that is actually, yeah, that won't be in the past because this is to do with the incursion. So what we're going to do with the past stuff is we'll do that when we actually have one of these other attacks. So we're saying that we've got some raiding, some harassment going on. According to my rules on this, you roll for the outcome of the conflict based on the participants. So the barony has what we call a power score. Barony has 10, elves have 7, dwarves have 8. Hostiles have a score of 2 per tribal grouping, marking up the power block. And we know that the Northmen are actually classified as 3. We add 1d3 to their roll, and this determines the success of their aggression. the nature of the incursion will influence the impact and the severity of the outcome. So in their raids, they have 3 plus 1d6. So it's going to take a lot for them to basically defeat the barony, but they might cause them. They're probably after equal or less, where the realm is impaired and weakened by an assault, but repel the invaders or raiders. So let's find out how effective these Northmen are. They were 3 plus 3 is 6. So we give it 6. And 6 is, it's not more than the power score, because that would have to be over 10. Equal or less, but not half or less. So it's above 5. Yep. So the realm is impaired and weakened by the assault, but repels the invaders or raiders. So at some point in the barony, this was about, what was the 6 years ago, the defense of the frontiers against these Northman raiders. We managed to repel them. However, they might have caused quite significant amount of damage. A 6, that was quite an effective attack, but just by a small group. Imagine what it would have been like if a large number of these Northern raiders had tried to get through. So that's that first incursion out of the way. Let's see whether the nomads decide to try on too. So we've got a 20% chance. And again, I think probably the ones that they would try to attack would be the barony. I can't really see the nomads being too interested in incursions into the mountains against the dwarves, but you never know. So it doesn't really occur anyhow, because that's 35. So we're not going to have the nomads. So we've had the Northmen, we've got the nomads. The goblins, whether they ally to attack the dwarves, and I thought that would be 20%. Let's find out whether that happens and have a little conflict with the dwarves. That might be quite interesting. So 32, they decide not to. So that is not on the stocks. Our final thing is the evil men, the evil men alliance. Whether we're going to get a factional group, and this is where we can actually start to build up the faction. So what have we got first? We're going to have the evil men. We're going to have, let's say they ally with the goblins. So we'll say it's probably an 80% chance that they use the goblins, because the goblins are the most numerous in this region. So 80% chance. No, it's not. So they decide, no, we're not going to use the goblins. So the goblins aren't part of the equation. Okay, so who are the evil men going to use? We've got orcs and hobgoblins. So having had the goblins decide, no, we're not going to play, we're going to do our own thing. How about, we'll say, we'll go for the orcs, and we'll say it's a 50% chance that the orcs decide to come with the evil men. 24. So there are orcs, so we'll take the goblins out and we'll add the orcs. And there is maybe a very small chance that we might be able to pull in the plains orcs. And you know what orc tribes are like? They use the, at each other's throats. So I'm saying there's going to be a very small chance. Maybe it's something, something to do with these evil men and this individual that we've been talking about. But no, 19. So it was going to be a 10% chance. So maybe not too far off. We managed to rope in them. And then the hobgoblins, I'm going to say maybe 20% chance we managed to get them into our little league, our confederacy, 97. So it's going to be the evil men, so that's 2 points, and the orcs, that's 2 points. So we are a total of 4 up against the barony. So this is probably going to be some raiding. So let's see on our scale what we do. We've got... chance of conflict is calculated for each block as 30%, plus 10% per tribe. So we have got 30% base, plus 10% for the evil men, and plus 10% for the orcs. So that is a 50% chance that they decide, right, we are going to raid, we're going to attack, we are going to invade the barony. And they do. They decide, right, we're going to do it. 39. It is the attacks on. When was this? The conflict roll, the level of hostilities. For the records in the timeline, this occurred 1d6 -1 years in the past. So this happened 2 years ago. So on our timeline, 2 years ago, is very, very recent. So that was after these raids and brigandage being a growing menace. So maybe this is one of the symptoms of that. Is it this down to this powerful individual from Shadow Crag? Is he starting to do his stuff? Right, let us find out what the outcome is, and also the level, the intensity of the attack. So we'll roll for the intensity, the level of hostilities on the barony. We've got 7 deep raids into interior. So, right, so that's 7 deep raids. So they must be very emboldened by something. Let us find out how successful they are with this raiding. So that we know the barony is 10, we are 4. We get 1d3 to see how effective we are. We get 3. That is another very effective attack. That is 7 in total. The Northmen scored 6, so they've done even better than Northmen. So that's equal or less. The realm is impaired and weakened by the assault, but repels invaders or raiders. So the fact that they've done quite a deep, maybe they got all the way into the barony. The evil men are based here. They've probably managed to breach these defenses, and they've managed to get quite well into. They might even have reached as far as Freehold. Yeah, Freehold seems to be in the line of attack for everybody. Maybe they got all the way into here, but they were managed to be repelled, possibly by our champion. What's his name? He was called the Baron's champion, Dragon Ashblade. Maybe he used this blade, his Ashblade, effectively managed to repel these evil men and orcs back to the Barons, the Badlands. Okay, I think we've done enough on that. Let us see what is next in the line. Right, if we just return to the this episode and beyond. So let's see what we've done on our checklist. We've gone through the focus, the updated map, the constructed timeline, conflict resolution with some potential flashpoints. So we've managed to go through all that. We've considered the threat level and the malevolent forces. Now, I think that is wrapped into that recent escapade we've had with these evil men. And that is part of the overall barony concept that I have. So if we just quickly refer to what I had as my barony concept in my notes. This is one of the original conceits that I had presented for the sorry, a little pause there. I just set a wrong pink folder. So this were the options in ascending fantasy intensity that we had for our barony. We were originally going to have different levels of barony design, which we got to version 6. We settled for barony version 2, which was a random setting using core concepts and features, but using a solo mechanic to distribute and detail. We've done that. Barony version 3 was as version 2, but with the addition of a threat, malevolent force incursion on the region. Now, I don't think we're maybe at the level, maybe just to get, go up that level yet. So what I'm going to do is maybe just stall that just now. We want to get some adventuring get some exploration of this world first before we start layering on some more levels of pain for the characters. So let's put that on hold just now. So I think what we're at now is the completion of the Barony design process, and I think I can draw a line for now on the setting design. And it's really for me to tie up any loose ends and finalize the maps and data points. Case in point being the fact that I've got so many different maps on the go now, photocopies. I need to get my master map, which I think I've got here. This resplendent one here with all the colours. I can put in all the little names of the towns. I can call all the different tribes what they are. I can maybe have a list which is actual data behind to say that that town there is 3,000 people in it. You know, Freehold's got 1,000, etc. And just give a bit of flesh to the barony. But basically our job is done there. I am very pleased with the result. Also, let's move on to the next phase. And I can announce I have developed for this campaign a new dungeon exploration process. It is highly based on and very sympathetic to the information that is shown in B52. B52 seems to be a very popular page in this book, and this has got, you know, draw the map of the dungeon, stock the dungeon, treasures, all this type of stuff, creating an NPC party, wandering monsters. Now I'm going to use that as much as I can, but I have also created in my own kind of just exactly what I want from a random dungeon system. I thought, well, maybe I could have used what was in the Dungeon Master's Guide, but I thought I don't really want to. I want to have my own proprietary version, and I don't maybe want as complicated a random dungeon. You know, the Appendix A is fantastic, and it's very good at generating these dungeons, but I felt I just needed something a bit more manageable, a bit tighter, a bit simpler, something that I can just, and also quite aligned to what these books are all about, and just really an extension of what some of the principles in that B52 is, and you know, I'm talking about quite simple room generation, corridor generation, but with enough levels of chrome and layering of things like some of the dressing, some of the special rooms, some of the special features, that it gives us quite a rich feeling of exploring. And that's what, from some of my other campaigns, that what I've found is quite an important thing, and enriches the overall role-playing experience. So I'm not going to show you that just now. I'm going to wait till we actually start exploring, but it's just to let you know that I do have my own system that I have developed. I'm quite pleased with it. I think it's going to generate some interesting places of mystery, and also keep to the random theme. So it's not going to be pre-generated. It's going to be, there will be an element of pre-generation because the overall scenario, maybe just the backstory behind it. But once we're there and we're adventuring, it's all random. The Haunted Keep of Blackthorne Marsh, the backstory and rumours at last. So I'm going to hand it over to Old Hemlock, and Old Hemlock is going to give us a bit of a lowdown on this. He says, because we are, you know, in case you lose track, we are all in the Golden Griffin listening to what Old Hemlock and the Loremaster is telling us about Westmark. He has reached the end of his explanation. Old Hemlock now turns to us and his voice grows deeper and even more serious. He says, now that we have told the tale of the Westmark, let us get to the business of the coming days. I have seen a fine band assemble. I have watched while you grow in spirit and in confidence to face the approaching dark. Now I can relate my story of our first mission. It is a place shrouded in mystery and secrets, a tale of loss and sadness. So we're all sitting on tenterhooks, waiting for Old Hemlock to tell us this sad tale. The ruined keep of Blackthorne Marsh. 20 years ago, the keep known as Blackthorne Marsh stood proud at the edge of the swampy lowlands. A modest stone fortress raised by one of Baron Eldric's closest companions, Sir Malric Thornvale. Sir Malric had been a trusted friend and ally in the Baron's campaigns along the Westmark, and the keep served as an outpost and refuge for those travelling the treacherous marshlands, offering protection to merchants, scouts, and weary adventurers. The keep was known for its high wooden palisades and sturdy stone gatehouse, and though its walls were smaller than those of the Baron's own castle, it was considered impenetrable against common raiders. The marsh surrounding it was a natural defence. Treacherous bogs, hidden pools, and thick reeds discouraged unwanted visitors. The mysterious event. One autumn night, around 20 years past, a strange phenomenon befell the keep. Chroniclers of the region tell that a thick, unnatural fog rose from the marsh, swallowing the keep in the darkness that never lifted. Sounds of terror were reported by distant travellers. Cries, clanging metal, and eerie whispers carried on the wind. Scouts sent by the Baron to investigate returned only with fragments of torn banners and empty campfires. Sir Malric and all his garrison vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the ruined walls, half-sunken staircases, and scattered belongings. Some claim it was a curse or vengeance from the swamp itself. Others whisper of dark magic from a wayward wizard or a restless spirit, perhaps even a gateway to something unnatural beneath the marsh. Whatever the truth, the keep was abandoned and slowly decayed, its stones sinking into the mire, its towers collapsing, and its name passing into local superstition. So we are absolutely entranced by Old Hemlock. We think, wow, this is going to be some place to go and adventure in. Sign us up. But before we do that, what about some local legends? So various pieces of information have emerged during the course of the evening from the occupants of the Golden Griffin. Are these mere rumours or the truth? We shall find out. So we're going to begin with Old Hemlock, and what we're going to do is we're going to roll 1d4 and select a legend extract which he relates at the end of his prologue. And then we're going to cycle through some more residents to build up a picture of this place, as if we have not already got a picture, but maybe it's a bit more flesh on the bones. Let us find out. So Old Hemlock, what is he going to relate on our little list? Let us find out. So he does 2 treasure rumors. That's exactly what we want. Stories tell that Sir Malric's treasure hoard and magical relics were left behind, hidden somewhere in the collapsed chambers or in the dungeon below. Yes. Now that is definitely a tick. Everybody's going, yes, this is information that we find very useful. Old Hemlock, you are a worthy soul. We do give you honor. So who else are we going to get? We've got, who's going to be next in our little list? We have got 2, Lyra Swiftfoot. Now remember Lyra Swiftfoot, she was effectively our ranger analogue. She was following that Cassandra's Silverfoot, the wayward, it's Cassandra Starchild. Yes, not Silverfoot. Starchild. She was our misunderstood heroine. She was suspicious about her background, and we never really kind of hit it off with Lyra, but maybe we are making a bit of amends tonight. She is classified as a fair source, so I think maybe, the fact that she's been out in the wilds, she probably knows her way around this region quite well. She is effectively, for want of a better word, a ranger. I think I called her a scout. She knows about this region. Probably knows it very well, and she's probably heard of this place, and she knows some information. So what is she going to tell us? Ignoring a 2 on this result, and she gives us a 3, and she talks about unfinished duty. Baron Eldric's descendants occasionally send adventurers to recover maps or relics, but few return. Those who do are changed or haunted, speaking of strange rooms and unnatural shapes beneath the keep. Okay, well, that's interesting to know. She's probably kind of bumped into maybe one or two of them that have come back. Obviously people, he's Baron Eldric, and that is his name. We found out the name of the Baron. He is still interested in Silmaric. Maybe he's obviously had a very close tie to this individual, and he's very sad, and he's still keeping the search active. Maybe he's interested in the treasure rumors too, just as a sort of side thing. Or maybe he doesn't want something in Silmaric's treasure to fall into the hands of an enemy. That could be the case. Okay, so we've had Lyra Swiftfoot, we've had Old Hemlock, we've had Treasure Rumors and Unfinished Duty. Who else are we going to have? We'll have 1 to 3, it's Loremaster Erythiel. So it is. And Loremaster Erythiel, she's a good source, although she's probably already had quite a few glasses of wine now. It's getting towards the end of the evening. So are we really going to believe what she's got to say? And we've got a case of this or this. So it's going to be, again, it's going to be a 50-50 split. It is the dungeon below. So she goes on about old stones suggest a subterranean network, cellars, tunnels, and possibly a shrine or tomb, where the garrison may have disappeared into the earth itself. Wow. So it's getting all very, very strange. That is it the truth, Loremaster Erythiel? And she says, well, give us another glass of wine and I might tell you. Ha ha ha. That sort of thing. So this leaves us with Borin. And he's a bit of a dubious source, but hey, he's Borin, and we all love Borin. And he goes on about the Marsh folk, and he says, locals avoid the area, speaking in hushed tones of the lost garrison of Blackthorne. Some claim they see flickering lanterns at night or hear the echo of metal boots marching across the waterlogged courtyard. Right. Well, I think that sounds a bit strange, Borin. Have you been imbibing some of your own product? It sounds like it. We'll take that one with a pinch of salt. Okay, so that has reached that stage on my little checklist. Just going back to the Haunted Keep of Blackthorne Marsh backstory and rumours. So we've gone through that. For me to do, I need to equip and provision the party for the adventure and create some summaries of the characters to use in the dungeon. And I've found in some of my other dungeon adventures, not having little summaries is sometimes a bit of a handicap. So I'm going to be on the front foot with BX, and I'm going to have little summaries which have got things like hit points and armor class and all that good stuff that we need to use down in the dungeon. So we can commence our adventure. I will need to draw the detailed map and plot our journey and see if we get any more assistance and pertinent information from our patron Old Hemlock. So further help from Old Hemlock, that is the question. So we will determine whether he offers some more valuable information concerning the journey, the location and its environs in our next episode. He does not mention on conclusion that he expects to get, he does mention on conclusion that he expects to get an equal share of the treasure haul and access to the treasure map for his records. just for records purposes, no other reason, but I'd love to have a copy of your treasure map. I'm going to take a photocopy of it over here, that type of thing. So he wants one share, which seems very reasonable for the information he's given us. He's triangulated where this is on the map of the Barony. Old Hemlock's done quite a service. He's given us all this information. He's given us access to knowledge about these other dungeons too. It's just basically landing on our lap. So maybe he is going to give us a bit more information about the journey and the surrounding area. What is Blackthorne Marsh all about? I think we are basically set up for the adventure. As I said at the start of my opening, I want to get this campaign moving on into adventuring territory. I want to get the swords stained with orc blood. Goblin heads must be severed. We must descend. We've got a humongous party of 7. The recommended is between 6 and 8. We are right in the middle of that. We are on 7, and some of them are pretty capable individuals. So if we keep it as a tight, cohesive unit, I'm really looking forward to managing 7 individuals. But I feel I have the experience now after Homes Basic, after AD&D, and lots of stuff in it doing AD&D. I want to try and make this BX stuff really quite exciting, and I've got a few little ideas on the combat, just to inject a bit of passion, a bit of interest, a bit of tactical nous for the characters. So wait and see. and yeah, I think with certainly with the BX, I've had a lot of fun with this so far. It's been one series that I have actually been able to go back and just watch personally, and actually, a bit of smile comes to my face sometimes, and I think, that was that's quite an interesting little story that's developing, with the fact that this interactive style and following these characters and some of the interesting people that they've met. I really quite enjoyed it. I am probably the happiest viewer on Brian's channel. But then I did say at the start I designed it for myself to enjoy. So there I'm just basically I am satisfying my own requirements. Okay, I think I really am starting to go off tangent now. Thank you very much for watching this episode. The next one we will be going into the Blackthorne Marsh and finding out where this haunted keep is. I look forward to you joining me. Thank you very much.